too early.
Yeah. I mean, she can always raise her hand if she wants to talk or just clarification. This.
Okay, 6:30, ready to go?
We're ready.
Okay, good evening, everyone. This is the August 13th meeting of the Western Public Safety Facilities Committee. Take a roll call to begin the meeting.
Oh, Melissa Brown.
Nathan Bennett.
Rich Kentry.
Rich Kentry.
Rich Fitzpatrick.
Dan.
Ian Duffy.
Doug McGregor.
Glenn Pratt. Anyone else? Okay, so we're underway, and tonight the main issue is what to do about King Street. What have we discovered since the last meeting a few weeks ago? And so Paula and Dan are here. Dan, do you want to start?
I
Tell
can,
us where we're at.
my recollection is we were to take a look at trying to integrate a smaller program that we had identified with Chief Quigley. And I think that, what I think Paula and I would like to try and get out of tonight's meeting is some major decisions on some of the parts and pieces of the building. One, do you like the smaller plate? Would be one. The shell, what I call the shell garage for the future substation, and parking in the back. Those are three major things that I think if we could get consensus, we could go back to the Board of Selectmen and let them know the direction we're going in, and have another meeting with the Board of Selectmen like we had when we talked about Elm Street. And I think we'll be at that point, we'll be able to really put pen to paper and start modifying the plans and getting them exact.
Okay, so let's start it on that presentation or discussion.
Yep. So you can bring up the presentation. So what I'd like to go over with you today is I've laid out two different blocking plans. So it's just taking all of the spaces from the program, creating the square footages for those and arranging them in a way that should work for the way that I had spoken with Chief Quigley in the past about for adjacencies and which floor they need to be on. There's still a couple of things. I've got two options that I'm going to show you. There's a couple of differences between the two options as far as location relative to operational things for the police department. So I would need the police department's input on that to see which is preferable.
Can you hold on 1 second? Sarge, is Lieutenant Lennon or Commander Lennon or Lopes coming, or?
I believe he's on.
You online? Is he on there somewhere?
There we go.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Sorry, Paul.
That's okay. So this first drawing is just of the site plan. I just wanted to refresh your memories on what parking looks like at the rear of the site. So this was the layout that we did in the first revised design, where we changed this retaining wall back here to be a segmental retaining wall rather than a block. Yep. So less expensive, but still holds back the earth here, which allows us to have those 20 parking spaces at the back, still have the driveway on the north side of the site and all the parking out at the front. So that's just to kind of refresh your memories of how that lays out in relationship to the building itself.
Can we just explain the difference in the wall retaining the things you just called it?
The original wall that we had designed in the first iteration of the building that went out to bid had a laid back wall. We used boulders to hold the earth back, and it was to make it a little more natural and to lay it back.
Terraced.
And it was terraced. It had a couple of different levels to it. As part of the last redesign that we did, we looked at changing that wall to a retaining wall. And those are those really big kind of concrete blocks that are stacked on top of each other. They're a little bit less expensive. They don't look as natural, but you can get them faced if you want to have that sort of look, to have it look a little bit more like stacked block rather than just a concrete retaining wall. So that is what we proposed in the redesign. That's, I think, what we probably should propose for the rear parking if the committee votes to include rear parking for the building, is to continue with that segmental retaining wall. Anybody else have any questions about the site plan?
What is the red line representing?
That is the required setback
So is there always gonna be a variance for the,
for this little portion. We've already been approved for that. If we go back with the same layout, that approval should stay in place.
understood?
And what is the roof deck?
The roof deck is, as part of these two options that I'm showing you today, originally we had a patio out here. In the first design, it was over above the police detention wing. In the redesign, there wasn't a lot of space there because that's what happened. Transformers, generators, utility equipment. So the patio was moved to the south side of the parking. And with the two options that I've worked out for the northern addition, there's a large flat roof area. So there's the potential of not having that as a landscape option, but putting that as a deck just on top of the flat roof.
Is the rear parking secure, police only?
It would be police only. Yeah, basically everything from this portion back would be authorized vehicles only.
We talked about a few different options for it being gated. Is that stuff, is it a retracting gate?
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
those type of details we'll do during design development.
Yeah.
There's a zillion options. We have,
Consequential.
yeah, I mean, it's inconsequential to the three major decisions we need to make.
Yeah, but just so you know that in the past, we had talked about that with Chief Quigley. The initial idea was to put an armed gate down there to physically block any unauthorized vehicles from getting back there, but those do tend to break pretty frequently, just as exposed to weather. So we decided this design, by putting these islands there and putting signage saying authorized vehicles only, is trying to do it without a gate that may be a maintenance issue, was sort of the best way to go, and he was fine with that. So we would probably move forward with something like that.
You might get a car or two go through it, but you're not gonna go all the way up and around.
No,
You
there's-
gotta have a lot of guts to do that at a police
Well,
station.
it's a vastly better situation we have now with everybody driving by to go to the housing and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, so.
Yeah, so it would be secure. Okay, could you go to the next slide? And if you could back out for the full screen for the moment. So this is option one, and if you go down to the bottom of the sheet, we've got the first floor. All of these room sizes have now been resized based on the revised programming that we did just a few weeks, I guess a month ago, maybe.
Can you stop for just a second?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be interruptive.
Oh, no, go right
But
ahead.
the dotted line is an indication of the previous design, previous plate.
Yes,
Okay, so when we talk about a reduction, we're reducing from what was voted at town meeting and approved by the voters, but rejected by the voters at the ballot box is the dotted line. So
correct.
this is a smaller plate.
So the difference in this from the previous designs is the Sally Port has now been reduced to 2 bays and 2 overhead doors there. The booking area and the kind of storage area here have all been kind of compressed a little bit. And then the other difference that we've got is the spaces that were here adjacent to the fireside have now been given over to the training community room. And all of these kind of central spaces are going to be the evidence areas. And in the initial design and the redesign, the evidence was all up on the second floor. But that's where I'd want to get the police department's input on just operationally, which is preferred. So in this particular option, we've got all of the offices along the windows here at the bottom. We have the permitting and safe room, which also needs to be adjacent to the lobby. This is where people come in for permitting, or if somebody is experiencing some sort of emergency and needs safety, they can run it in and be taken into this room and secured there. Then as you move through, we've got the processing and all of the evidence, as I said. The fitness room has been reduced, and then the hallway getting back to the stairs and the elevator is still there, so that's all the same. Could scoot up to the top of this page. All right, so this is the second floor. The dashed line here is just the footprint of what's on the ground floor for the shell on the south side. And like Dan said, the dashed line on the north side is where the previous footprint of the building was. So this floor plan, it's fairly similar to what we currently have in the design. We've got offices and roll call along the windows here, locker rooms for male and female police officers back here, the armory and firearms maintenance back there. It's preferable to have that on an exterior wall because they have exhaust that they need to vent out. And then the sergeants and natural resource officer here, lunchroom there. And then the central portion here is patrol storage, the wellness room, the Zoom room, the interview and observation room. This one needs to be kind of close to the detective, so that kind of has to stay there. But these are the areas that could potentially swap with option 2, but that's, again, you'd need input from the police department on that. And then over at the northern addition, basically everything on the second floor was pretty much taken out in this. So it's really just the Sally Port and the detention wing at the first floor. The second floor, the only thing we really have there is the vestibule to enter in from the rear parking lot and the elevator. And because we have this extra space there, there is a potential for storage there.
Now, if you remember, second floor is level with the parking in the back.
Mhm.
So you have that opportunity for the officers come in directly from the back. They drive into the secure area, they come into the secure vestibule so that they're not walking through the lobby to do their day-to-day operations.
And similar to the original design, all of the utility spaces and services to the building are in the second floor of the southern addition. So that will stay the same. Any questions? Yes,
Where is the door, from the parking lot and onto the second floor? Where do you come in?
right here. So it'd be right in this vestibule.
And what are the little white blocks like next to the unisex locker room?
That is a great question, and I've been glad you picked it up. So when we were doing this the first time around, we had a lot of nitpicking of every little room. And some of the rooms would be, 100 square feet or 70 square feet bigger or smaller because we had the space in this building. Because this building is an existing building with existing 4 walls, the exact program doesn't exactly fit. So some of the rooms are going to stretch a little. Some of the rooms some of those white spaces might become chases for ventilation, piping, things like that. But you'll note that the rooms that she's showing here are exactly per the program as a square.
Yeah.
And when we're done designing it, some of them are going to get a little bit bigger, some of them are going to get a little bit smaller. But the overall concept will be the same.
Mhm.
And that was a great catch.
Thank you.
I'm gonna touch on that at some point. I'm glad you brought it up now. So that is why
Yes.
at the moment, our lunchroom takes up that space, and that's exactly why, because what are you gonna do with that space? It's just a sliver. You can't really get another room to fit in there. And to get access to the lunchroom, you have to be able to get a door in there too. So there are little things as you start laying out walls, things shift a little bit. That's what those white spaces are.
And then just one more.
Mhm.
In the future, would there be an opportunity on top of the Sally Port detention wing to cover that with
Mezzanine.
the second floor? Yeah, second.
Well, that's what we had.
Yes.
Right. No,
One of the comments that was abundantly clear was the building looked too big. And because of the way that this has been redesigned, and when you see the elevations, you're gonna see that the building does not look as big. It's still similar, but does not look as big. It is a different building than the people have voted on back in at town meeting and at the ballot box. And that was the takeaway I had and Paula had
Mhm.
from the last meeting was, although we want to get the program in, and we've demonstrated a small reduction,
Mhm.
and we have demonstrated that we can make it work.
Yeah, so in our original design, we did take advantage of that space over the detention wing just for future expansion, but in effort to try to kind of meet the comments that we've received to reduce the building. We're not doing that. If there's a desire to add something in the future, you can do anything, but it's just a matter of cost.
How many square feet less is this? How many square feet have been reduced? from the Original.
Yeah, it was.
We want it to the inch.
Pretty close. So it was at 23,000, well, programmatically, it was at 30,000 square feet and we programmed it down to 22.5. I'll give you the exact numbers, 30,643 feet. And we reduced it in this latest iteration to 22,466.
There's 8,000 square feet less there?
Yes.
Like, where are the big where are the big clumps of space?
Well, that's the program.
Yeah.
I can't give you the exact square footage until we lay this out. Because the previous building that was designed was like 23,000 square feet, so it wasn't even the 30,000. This reduction, because we've eliminated rooms, is probably less than 23,000 square feet, but I couldn't tell you what that is exactly.
It's clearly smaller. You can see it visually.
Yeah, I won't be able to give you an exact square footage until I actually lay the building out.
I actually having trouble with it. So where'd the 30,000 square feet come from?
That was the original program for the room sizes that we were told that the police department needed.
Was that what we presented at town meeting, 30,000?
No, I think it was less than that.
Okay, so from the presentation at town meeting, do you know roughly how much we went down from that?
I don't.
Same answer, okay.
Same thing. Until I start putting walls in here, I couldn't tell you.
Okay,
So it's a good question that we need to get an answer to and logging it in.
well, so this, I know this is just block right now, but
Mhm.
this requires an absolute total 100% redesign of the interior of the building. Is that fair?
Mostly.
Okay,
Mostly, because there are some areas, like I said, stayed the same, like these offices along the east side, the south side here, and the northwest side are all pretty much the same. It's this interior area and the detention area that would need the most significant redesign. And same thing on the first floor
Yeah.
as well.
is it? It's another slide?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Let's go to the next page. One more down, we'll get to option 2 and scroll down just a little further. There we go. So this is the first floor of option 2. The biggest changes here are we've put overhead doors or proposing overhead doors at the southern shell. The Sally Port has been squeezed down a little bit more, so now it's more like a bay and a half instead of 2 bays, and we've reduced it from 2 doors to 1 overhead door.
We can give you a whole copy of this.
We'll send you a PDF. It'll be better than both.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it'll look better.
And the detention area has not changed from option 1. The thing that has changed on this plan is this central portion of the plan here. So evidence has now been moved up to the second floor. And the Zoom room, the wellness room, patrol bag storage and patrol storage have all been moved down to this floor. We did end up with a big white space here because there's no more programmatic area on the first floor. So there's potential for a future storage or something on the first floor there.
Is that connected to the fitness center?
No,
Is there a hallway there?
there will be a hallway there eventually.
We have to figure out what the space is gonna be,
Well, what space are you talking about?
where she has future 228.
Okay, so one of the things that could go there is office space for emergency operations center.
That could be.
You know, we have it now, it's full of stuff. It's not gonna be, that stuff most likely won't be thrown away, so it has to go somewhere. That might be one of the things that uses some of that space.
It could be. It's not ideal for an office because you have no windows.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're talking about just storage, this area here,
Sure, it's an office work. I mean, it's another office workspace that we ought to keep in mind as we finalize the designs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
but yeah, so there is space for something in that area.
Right.
Okay, if you could scroll up a little bit. Okay, so this is the second floor. the mechanical areas here and the north addition there hasn't really changed from the previous operation or option. But the things that are different is all of the evidence is in this area now. And the locker room, we've proposed a unisex locker room, and I know Chief Quigley was kind of on the fence about that one. But one thing that will do is reduce the number of plumbing fixtures that need to be purchased because you're kind of combining. So the way a unisex locker room works is the locker room itself, males and females both go, you have your locker, you get your stuff, you go to a secure cubicle with the showers and things in it, and you change and you shower and you do everything in there. But the locker room itself is shared. And by doing that, we also gain a smaller meeting room on the second floor, because right now they don't really have one. And the armory and firearms maintenance gets a little bit bigger.
And this looks like the center doesn't require any, or maybe just a little redesign from before, right? Most of it is in the locker room and up top.
Correct, yes.
What was the chief's feeling, and maybe the unions on the unisex locker room? Is there any feedback on those? Because that seems like
I think because it's a newer concept, they've done it at universities, they have done it at fire stations, they've done it on other buildings, public buildings. But because it's a fairly new concept, there's just some uncertainty on it.
Union's entirely against it.
Is that right?
This is what's been presented. So, second floor.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What is the patrolman union have against?
The unisex locker room.
What's that?
So it's fine. So then we just revert back to the original.
Yeah, we discussed it in a previous meeting when it was brought up almost a year ago now, and both males and females were against it. They felt uncomfortable with the idea. They didn't want any type of crossing, anything like that. They just want to be separated.
All right, so if you go to the next sheet, we've got a couple of, if you could zoom out a little bit so we can compare the two. So this, the bottom view would be option 1 with the 2 overhead doors on the sally port, and option 2 up above is the single door at the sally port. The other difference is the doors at the south addition to be for future fire apparatus. We've got the bifold doors at the bottom and then overhead doors on the top. And the biggest difference we did was we reduced some of the roof slopes over the apparatus bay to try to get a little shallower, but still kept it to the minimum that could accept asphalt shingles so it would match the existing building. And then the northern addition here previously had a not skylight, a monitor on top of it, kind of a dormer that would hide the elevator
It's just put
shaft
posting
here.
around on the right beside you, so people can see what we use the public. Yeah, that top thing you're talking about.
Yeah, so the dormer's been taken off just to reduce the mass of that, but the elevator shaft is still gonna be kind of what it is back there. And then the, if you go to the next page, you'll get a little bit more from the south. The roof over the rear of the south shell has also been brought down, and the slope has been reduced a little bit so that it previously came up above the apparatus. Now it's sitting down below. And then behind the sally port area, that whole area over the detention wing is now going to be a flat roof right over the first floor. So there won't be a secondary roof above that.
What, can you remind me what's in the little building to the left of the fire apparatus bay?
Nothing right now.
Yes, it's just going to be the shell, but it was previously designed to be the report writing for the fire department, the day room for the staff that was there, and 2 dorms.
Can we just cut that off?
If you ever want to use this as a substation, you're going to need those spaces. It's there.
It's a valid question. One of the things that is really difficult for all of us is that on our side of the line is that we all know that this would solve the police department. And that at some point in time, we have to solve the fire department, whether it's 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 20 years from now. When that happens, you're gonna need somewhere for the fire department to go. And what we were trying to do is not create something that made a temporary fire station necessary. Because it will cost about, in today's dollar, about $4.5 million to do a temporary fire station. For an 18-month period or a 12-month period or whatever, however long it's gonna take to do the work down at Elm Street. So we have to put retaining walls there anyway, Kathy, so it's cost efficient to build the shell. Everyone agrees it's not gonna be a fire station at this time. You don't have the staff, but it would be really short-sighted for Cohasset to do it long. In my opinion.
All right, and I think we might have, I think the next two sheets are basically to try to refresh your memory on what it was previously and what the previous plan was. But
It's a little bit small.
it's a little small. But that is it, and those are the.
Okay, those are
you've got. So that's it.
That is where we have gone in the past 2 weeks.
Okay, so what do you, let's have a discussion about what everybody sees here. Let's start off with parking. Go ahead, slide, Rich. Okay. Parking is very important to police operations because police operations are on the second floor. Parking has to be on the same level as police operations. Just doesn't make any sense in any other way. For a lot of reasons, like police is a fluid thing, it's coming and going, and people taking elevators, walking upstairs makes no sense, and it's just not the real world, in my view. So, what do people think about parking? We've spent 2 previous meetings, many of you were at, looking at parking options. All of them have problems with police operations because they're not on the second floor, and many of them, almost all of them, maybe one, Will had an idea, would give us more spaces. So let's talk about what everybody thinks about parking so we can decide whether or not we go forward inside knowing that the parking is going to be on the second floor. So, Melissa. I'll just say one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just one other thing. The change in the way the banking is held back. This is my opinion. It probably doesn't give you any more space, but it does make the place look like a fortress, which maybe we don't want to do because it might not be that much money saving. So just something to think about. Go ahead, sorry.
I like this design. I think it's very easy with the 2 islands coming in for securing the access. You could put, if it doesn't work out, you could always put a bar or some sort of other option there to keep it safe. But this is good. I mean, we don't need the aesthetics in the back as much as we do in the front. So I'm okay with the cement blocks or whatever it's made out of.
Gravity blocks.
This works for me.
Okay, Nate.
I said it last meeting, I'm a proponent of the parking in the back. I don't think it's something that you can skimp on. We need to account for an influx of traffic, which is inevitably going to happen at some point, whether it's for the EOC or another reason. We don't have a lot of options. I mean, we can't ask people to cross 3A and park in, Mary Lou's. And we're talking about parking at the train station, shuttling people, and that could be a nightmare. So I don't think we can skimp on parking.
Rich.
I agree. I think there are other places to cut. I don't think that the parking is the place to do it. It's just too basic and fundamental to the operations.
Okay, Doug.
Yeah, I strongly feel based on my. I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Okay. Strong feelings that we cannot reduce parking. I've seen too many projects where they just reduce parking just to get it done. And we have such an island location here that we don't have options in the future to add unless it's a great expense. And as someone who's managed and owned buildings like commercial buildings for 25 plus years, you just need to build parking to a realistic degree and maybe a little bit more because things just grow. So it'd be shooting ourselves in the foot to not really lean into the parking thing. And then as to the aesthetics in the rear, if that's a compromise, I think that'd be a smart compromise to make. If it's not as attractive in the back, so be it, as long as it's secure parking on the second level for the operations. And I do think that the design, even without a gate, is so bottlenecking in a good way that that'll be very private and secure in the back without a gate. Just with signage going around the back is a pretty bold, specific or intentional thing to do if you have signs to go past on that driveway. So I like what I'm seeing on this page right here.
Okay, thank you. Dan Duffy. Dan, you're on mute.
Hear me now?
Yes.
I'm just trying to, how many parking spaces do we have here now under this option?
This,
You hear us, Dan?
Yeah. On this layout. Showing the existing parking, showing the recommended parking spots coming around, how many are there in total?
47.
What was that? 47? To me, 47 seems like an adequate amount of spacing. Is there some feeling that we could have more than 47?
So it's hard to respond to your question. Hold on.
I think
Is he on there twice?
You want, yeah.
I don't think he is.
I think it's just echo on his computer.
Yeah.
Dan, try again.
He asked if anybody felt there's any. In 47.
Does anybody think we need 147 spaces? No, it doesn't seem anybody thinks we need more.
Can I make a comment about parking?
Yep. I don't know if you heard, so what, but yes, please.
So at the last meeting, it came up whether we could use the parking at the storage facility next door. And it was kind of dismissed offhand. And that question has come up multiple times. And I think you said, well, they don't have a lot of parking there. And I think that this committee should actually get the plans to see how much parking there is, because we're going to get that question again. And I don't think we should just dismiss that answer. I think we should have that visual data in hand.
Good point.
Okay. So Dan, did you hear us, or can you hear us, or can you talk, or?
He's muted right now because there was feedback on his end. It's not on our end. It's his device.
Okay, so we can't continue to talk to him then?
He can unmute again if we want the echo, but.
Well, he seems to be talking, so.
Because he's muted right now.
Unmute.
Okay, Dan, we can't hear you with feedback. Is there anything you can do on your end? Maybe dial back in, try to come back in, maybe.
I can try to come back on, maybe.
Yeah, let's try that. Maybe that'll do.
Yeah.
Dan, when you were promoted to be a panelist, it may still be open in the original laptop for Zoom, and you might have a second window open for being a panelist. Just take a look at, if you see two versions of what you're looking at tonight, you can close one.
Let me try coming back in to avoid the echoing.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Just before I get to you, Commander Rich, what do you think?
I mean, looking at it, let's say there was potentially enough parking spots in the front, which I don't think there are. And then let's say we take out the garage and take out the back, call it 2 space, maybe 3 spaces here and a couple back here. Like, let's say we went with that option, which I totally agree is not the option. But if we did that and then 5 years down the line, it doesn't work, there's not enough parking. The only other alternative is the parking behind here and trying to get that built and do the excavation there while the police operations and maybe fire operations at that point are running seems very difficult, in my opinion, trying to run public safety operations while doing a large earth moving project. Moving through the main parking lot doesn't seem very feasible.
And the price will be more for that work at the time. So you're saying this is a plan that works for you?
I mean, I think we've exhausted all options. It's like right now at the police station, there's not nearly enough parking. And I've seen officers and other people park on Elm Street, where on a state highway, like 3 other signs over here saying no parking on a highway. So you can't park on the highway. And I don't think as a municipal building and a public safety building, you can rely on other parcels of land, be it the storage facility or Dunkin' Donuts or the T lot. I don't think you can rely on other people's property to solve your own parking need.
Okay, Commander Lennon, do you want to jump on?
Yes, speaking on behalf of the police department, we feel that the rear parking lot is integral to the project, and we'd like to see it stay in the plans.
Okay. Does anybody in will you have a thought?
I was just going to share that. So over the last 2 weeks, I tried to talk to as many people as I could, specifically people that voted no, that would vote yes, we'd switch it. And 3 things kept coming up, and this was one of them, that the parking in the rear seems like a waste. And if we can get 40 spaces in the front or 42 or whatever, some number close to it, that they would be a lot more comfortable voting for it than excavating that hillside. That also allows you to, in the future, seek that easement that has 9 additional spaces on it.
Okay. Anyone else in the thing, Chief?
So Glenn, just one thing, with the new building under the fire department review, we're gonna need access at least around 3 sides of that building. So you're gonna need to put a driveway into the side in between the building and Sunrise. And then we're also gonna need a swept path analysis report that when we get to the top of the back of the building that we can turn around. So you're gonna need the driveway and you're gonna need the parking area for us to satisfy us to respond and operate safely at that building and then exit the building once the incident is over, if we have to get to that 2nd floor.
You need 3 sides or 4?
We can get 3. So we can get to the back, come in the front, and go up the side and make the back. We can make the left, no problem, where the future fire station is. But we're gonna need access to the rear of that building. And it's gonna have to be a paved access road. So putting that driveway in and that parking in the back would meet the requirements of the fire department to access 3 sides of that building. Especially if we need access to the rear. We definitely need access to the rear of that building.
Okay.
And we do this in all commercial buildings.
You could put an access road without excavating, though, be right up against the building.
Yeah, what has to be at least 20 feet wide, at least, right?
It's gonna be 10 feet wide.
Okay.
So then you also have to include of that 10 feet when it snows. So you have to plow the snow off it. So you can't narrow it when it snows. So you gotta make sure it maintains 10 feet.
Okay, so I don't think any design plan would allow an access road for fire apparatus to be 10 feet wide. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The vehicles have to be 8 feet anyway. How wide is a vehicle?
Our vehicles are like 9 feet wide.
Okay, so it's a 20-foot.
It can't be more than 8.5.
It's 20 feet.
And we have the fire code and if CMR 527 requires 10 feet wide.
Okay.
I'm saying the vehicles can't be more than 8.5.
No, but I'm saying, so at 20 feet, you gotta put a 20 foot.
That's fine.
In a minute, what you do. Okay, so, well, I think we have to be.
I'd like
Because you gotta drive the fire truck up there.
Mhm.
You gotta get out of it, so the door opens probably 3 feet, okay? you have to work, whatever your vehicle is backed up for, you have to work and get to the cabinets and the tools and stuff like that. So it can't be against the building, I don't
Right.
think, unless
You
it's.
can't put it right against the building, yeah.
So you need, in 20 feet goes pretty fast. When you, like, this room is maybe, how wide this room?
24 feet.
Okay, so you pull a fire truck in here, there's not a lot of space on either side, and
So you're
that's,
saying you need a 20-foot wide road, or it needs to be,
yeah, road, yeah, just for their access is what I'm hearing.
You don't have that here.
yeah.
No, that's like 12 feet, isn't it?
Okay,
12 feet wide, it allows us 16, thank you, Paul. And so it's 16, so allows us to maneuver up to the rear of the building.
but we're not up, we're on the right-hand side here, we're not probably up against the bank, and so that's,
Just a reminder,
Anyway.
it's diagrammatic, it's not an
Right.
engineered.
Right, but I'm just
Right,
saying,
so-
we're gonna need access, whether or not.
We know we have to do
Road to the rear of the
turning,
building.
we know we're gonna have to do turning radii
Yeah.
and all the normal things we have to do.
Okay.
On the 3 sides versus 4 sides, chief, I mean, 3 sides. It's not me, right? On the 3 sides, we'll have to demonstrate 3 sides. That's pretty universal standard for every fire department.
Yep.
Chief, could you just clarify, is that the 3 sides, is that a law, a guideline, a code? Like, how would you characterize
It's
that?
under 527, CMR 527 of the fire code. Commercial buildings of this type, we need access to 3 sides of it. Doesn't apply to a single family. It applies.
So the front, right, and left are 3. You don't need to get the
We
back.
need to get to the rear. So the rear is one of them.
So you
The
said,
rear is considered one of the 3 sides.
so it has to be
like
front,
commercial.
rear, and a side.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
okay.
So that's what it is.
Anyone else have any thoughts on parking scheme?
I would like to just, drill down a little bit on Selectman Ashton's comment. We studied parking out front exhaustively, and it opens up other cans of worms, including septic.
No, I'm not talking about down there. Talking about instead of the wing and instead of the driveway.
Well, so you're asking specifically not to do the shell.
Yeah, that was the other
Yeah.
comment that I got from a lot of people was the shell, the parking.
Even though it'll cost them more money down the line. They're okay with paying more.
Yes.
Okay, well,
They
that's,
just don't want to pay more on this one.
Dan,
Just telling you.
Dan, you came back in, let's try you again. We can't hear you, Dan.
He's muted.
It was 47 parking spaces, as I understand it right now.
Yes,
Okay, so, and I heard some comment that maybe more spaces would be needed? Or is 47 adequate for this design?
47 appears to be adequate to Chief Quigley's requests for this building.
Okay. And
I think the comment you heard, Dan, was Selectman Ashton had indicated that if we didn't do the parking in the back, how much parking could we get in other portions on the site? And I think that's probably what you heard, because he was talking about increasing the parking in the front of the building as opposed to the rear of the building. Did I- well,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, well, let's say we were to shave off the fire wing and make that parking, do you think then the voters would be okay if we then re-expanded the police phase to 3 from the 1.5?
Well, I think you need that to replace the parking you're taking out of the back. I think the police program is perfect now. That's whatever we got at 16,000 square feet or whatever. So.
Can I record that?
If that shell wasn't there, we still had to put retaining walls, and we only got a very few spaces, right, Paula, in that area?
It's like 4.
Yeah, very few spaces.
Yeah, it depends on how it's laid out and where the final retaining walls go, because you have to retain the earth back there regardless of what we do. We're building 2 of the 3 walls of the shell without building the shell. And all the mechanical now has to go somewhere in the building. So that design that you like is now gonna have to expand somewhere else.
So to ask that question, is the mechanical here in the shell, is that does the main building need this mechanical?
Which one?
Like if we remove the shell, we need to then make space.
Yeah, the gray areas need to go somewhere.
Right.
So then that was part of the redesign effort that we did.
Yeah.
Beginning of the year. And we moved all of those mechanical areas over on top of the detention wing.
And that made it, and honestly made the detention wing look too big. I don't think what was wrong. It looked massive.
But it could go there again.
It could be.
Okay. So this was question number one you wanted us to give you some direction on.
Correct.
We've heard what everybody said. Let's hold that. Now let's go to what number two is.
Sorry, can I just add one more thing? I just want to, with Will's, the objection he heard from constituents about the parking in the rear. I don't want to, we have a stake in the ground. There needs to be a road to the back of this building for fire trucks. There needs to be a turnaround for fire trucks in the rear of this building. Like that's an important stake to have in the ground when discussing whether or not to have parking in the back. Because the other way to look at this is, well, we have to have the road up there anyway. We have to have a fire truck turnaround up there anyway. So it's all logical to have parking in the rear of the building. Is that where we are? I mean, that are we agreeing that we have to have the driveway up to the back and turn around for fire trucks? Because it helps shape that decision that we're going to be excavating for that alone. So are we all?
Theoretically, code wise, do you have to have the turnaround? I don't think so.
Yeah, how am I gonna, we're not gonna back all the way down that side driveway.
For the one event that you have to come up?
Who says it could be one event?
That's not even, Dan, I can't believe you said that.
Well, I'm trying to be realistic.
But I think it is a reasonable question.
I'm trying to be realistic about what can and can't be done so that everybody, I'm certainly not advocating that. I've been in the parking in the back crowd forever. But I don't want anyone to think we're dismissing things out of hand. And I want to make sure, if you could back out, as unreasonable as it is, could it be an option?
In 3 years of designing this project, that has never come up and it's never been in the
Because we
design.
never talked about removing the parking. Now it's being brought up.
You can't turn around back there.
Well, they have to do a swept path analysis first, prove that or not.
There was never an issue, Chief, you're saying because the parking lot was going to be there. Okay,
Yeah.
now that's not going to be, there has to be another alternative by some sort of code.
Sounds like you have to build it and not put parking there because you can't park in a fire lane.
Then it's going to be wider now, doesn't it?
No, you
Get back to my 20-foot. Okay, so
You can take a couple spaces away,
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Okay.
It gives us like a tinny.
okay, so this is one of the
If you have an event, you can move the cars too.
This is one of the
you can't
things.
park in a fire lane. It's a fire lane.
So you're telling me that if the fire truck goes up there, they're gonna ask the cars to move and the guys aren't gonna
Yeah.
back the
No,
truck
they're gonna
back down the same way?
They're gonna do it. They're gonna drive up there
Yeah.
and they're gonna go down the center and they're gonna park in the center of it
Correct.
with the cars on both sides.
Correct.
They're gonna put the fire out.
And then when they're done, they're gonna back it down.
They're gonna move the.
They're not gonna turn it, they're not gonna turn it around and do a 20-point turn.
This is getting foolish, okay? The question is, okay, let's move on to the other. This is number one thing you need an answer on. So we're going to look at all three things together. What was the second thing, Dan, please?
Second thing was parking in the rear was one. The reduction in the building design was another, and the third one was the shell.
Okay, let's talk about the shell because that seems to be an easier one to get an arm around. Okay, the shell is here for three reasons, I think, and so we'll all talk about it. It's here to house the mechanical systems for the main building or for the rest of the building, or for all of the building. It's here for the future of the community and public safety. And it's here because certain of the walls in some portion would need to be constructed anyway to hold back the earth, the hill. Are those the three things and why it is there?
Can you explain it's here for the future of the community and public safety? What do you mean?
Because we've been talking since day one about.
I would love to answer that question.
Yeah, but I want to let you do that after I say this.
Okay.
We've been talking since day one about a fire substation someplace other than Elm Street. So that's why it's always been in the plan. And it has a good chance of being a good forward-looking thing for the committee to consider. Okay, and so that's why I think that, Dan.
When we started on the program for this entire project all those many years ago, one of the things we did was the run study. And what the run study showed was the Beechwood area definitely could use a fire substation, whether it's a response by an ambulance or a response by a fire truck that has ambulance capacity. The need was there. It was abundantly evident after we went down the path a little ways that the town at this point in time in the town's financial capacity can't afford to hire the extra staff. It's a no-brainer. You can't do it today. But nobody can tell us what's going to happen in 5 years or 10 years. So it was always the goal was to try and not do something that you'd be ripping out or doing twice or needing the additional temporary fire station. To build that would be less than building a temporary fire station for Elm Street. And now you can make the argument that you don't need a temporary fire station for Elm Street. It would be an invalid argument, but you might be able to say you can. 4.5 is too much. It might be 4. It might be 3.8. It's going to be a lot of money to do a temporary fire station. So,
what do you need a temporary fire station for?
Because when you do get to Elm Street, you're gonna have to vacate the building to do the work that's needed at Elm Street.
How many vehicles fit in this?
Huh?
How many vehicles fit in there?
2.
Yeah, and we have 7, 8, whatever it is.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but you'll have response in a building.
The point is, Elm Street fire operations has to be relocated for the work that has to be done there. Where everything goes to what's required where is for the chief to figure out.
Right.
Okay. So I think that's outside of our discussions for now, where they all go. But they're going to have to go somewhere to do that work, which may be 5 years away. This is a potential space for some of them. So
the question was, where did the shell come from, and why did we keep the shell? That was the reasons on keeping the shell.
okay.
The other reason that I think is important, although not critical, is even with the redesign to make the police smaller and the police base smaller, completely redesigning the HVAC and electrical systems is a complete redesign. You're starting from scratch.
It's not.
It is.
There's 2 boilers, 2 water heaters, and
It's a redesign.
a
You're
compressor.
not the professional engineer. She hires the professional
You
engineer.
just move it over
It
there.
has
Let
to
it run.
Yeah, but guess what? I have to have it designed so that every little nut and bolt is biddable by a file sub-bidder in Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 149. It has to be done that way.
But we're
If
still
it was
redesigning.
if it was a private job, yeah, you're right. We could get away with it.
Get away with
2
what?
boilers.
You do have to redesign it, but it's just moving it over there.
It's not.
None of the distribution changes.
The distribution is going to change.
Distribution. Okay, here's what we're not going to do. None of us are professional engineers in this room that I know of, so we're not going to get into the weeds about how to redesign or move the thing. Okay, we're not going to get into that because we don't know. None of us.
But it's a redrawing of it, but
It's not a redrawing.
But it's,
Okay, we're not going to go there. We're not talking about anyway. It's not a redraw. It's a redesign.
so you're gonna tell everybody in the room that does this kind of stuff to stop talking.
No, but I'm going to say there are no professional mechanical engineers in the room, so we can't say what it's going to require. It's not just flipping and moving, okay? 'Cause every room requires a different airflow, as you know, okay? And there's different electrical situations, and who knows? There's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
but you're not
as you know.
starting from scratch. You already understand your loads.
Nobody said we're starting from scratch, but we said it's a redesign.
This is a redesign too.
The redesign starts from some point, not from scratch.
Correct,
okay?
and this is a redesign here.
There is definitely some.
Okay, so that's my point is, it's not like we don't, if we do this, we don't have to redesign it, like it's already done. We don't even know, we can't even tell you the square footage, because we don't know where doors and walls are. How can you tell me we're not gonna redesign the HVAC and
I
MEP
didn't say
systems?
You are definitely going to be redesigned.
So if we're gonna make a change, now's the time to make a change.
Yeah, you can't say, oh, we're gonna have to redesign it as a reason not to consider a change, because I just said.
Well, it's a reason to consider.
Mark,
Because-
all right, would you concede this? All those gray areas have to go somewhere?
Correct, but if you
Yeah.
know that that electrical service is if that's a 900 amp service in this building, you can draw any which way you want to and put the blocks wherever you want, still gonna be a 900 amp service,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Where your squiggly lines go and where your outlets are shown in switches, sure, that's gonna be different, but that's gonna be different with whatever conversation we get out of here. The same thing with the HVAC systems, the same thing with the fire suppression. You know, it doesn't matter the layout so much, it's the building is sized for it. Some work has been done,
Agreed.
Yes.
right?
Where do I
So
put
it's not
all-
like, well, if what I'm hearing, Will, is suggesting to put it in a different spot. And what I'm then hearing is, we can't do that because we've already engineered it.
No, I didn't say that. I said it would be a full redesign.
What,
Again, I don't think it's a full redesign because
Full
a
redraw.
full redesign.
no, this is semantics. The thing is, in my view, okay, if part of the exercise of the work of this new committee is to find out how to do this job for less money, okay? Redesigning, re-engineering, refiguring out things that were already figured out for the previous building, we may be coming out as a wash. And what do we get at the end? That's the only thing I'm saying. Okay. So we always have to keep that in mind, that whatever the soft cost is for these new ideas, okay, is fighting against us saving money from what we presented before. So that's all I'm saying there. So there's.
But if we but I agree with you.
Okay.
But I'm also gonna say, if we regurgitate a very similar, barely different option, I don't know that we're gonna come out winning again.
That's a valid argument.
So
that is
there
also
needs
one
to
of
be
the
a substantial change.
Okay, that is one.
Because you can't argue that we didn't get it the last time.
Okay.
Didn't make it.
So I think that argument you just made is one of the biggest arguments we have, is how far is a substantial change without impacting the operations of the building? I think that is a absolute valid argument. All right, I agree with you. So when we left here after the last meeting, which your surrogate was in, you know, we were instructed, shrink down, make the building not look so big and make it different. It is different. Is it different enough? Might not be for you. It might not be for Will, but it might be for others. I don't know.
And how do we find out?
I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that question. Right?
I don't think anyone can answer that question, other than it goes back to town meeting and you get a result, yay or no. Right? So I think we need to put our best foot
We might
forward.
lop off the building, get rid of the parking, go back to town meeting and still get a no.
Okay. All right. So now the question is, who has comments on whether or not we should build the shell? So Melissa.
Glenn, Tim Collins has his hand raised. I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
go.
I'm name in a second. Melissa.
What's your direct question?
Shell, the shell.
Should we put it on or not?
Am a long-term thinking person, so I would like to put it there. I think we're gonna need it. It's gonna cost more when we finally get there, and I don't want to ignore what are gonna be the fire department's needs going forward. That being said, my goal is to get this built for the police department because they need it. And if the town wants to accept the fact that we're gonna get there someday and it's gonna cost a lot more money and they're not gonna come back and say, you guys didn't do this right, so be it, that's their decision. I don't agree with it, but I don't make the decision for everybody. All I can do is give my opinion.
Can I just add two things off of what you said before you go around? I think not building it now does not preclude us from building it in the future.
No, I'm talking just about the money, Will.
And saying that it costs more in the future, it costs 5% interest per year to borrow the money to build this. So if construction goes up 5% a year, it's essentially the same cost.
Nate.
You're gonna be paying 5% on the 5% when they finally get there.
Okay, Nate.
Like the parking, I advocated for the shell in the last meeting. I haven't heard an argument to change my opinion on that. I still think that is planning for the future. I think that space is at a premium. And if it's not used by the fire department, then it's gonna be used one way or another, because we're slashing space every chance that we get. It's useful space.
Rich.
I totally see both sides, what everyone said. I mean, I think building for the future is important, but minimizing the cost is important too. I think part of the equation is how much are we gonna save? You know, if it's 50,000 by not building those because of the design and everything, that's one thing. If it's 3 million, that's another. And I have no idea what the price is, but
I think we did, I think we had done a study on what it was said, but I want to say it was 3.2 million
In the,
without redesign.
in the redesign, we had the shell as a deductive alternate. I believe it was about
3.2 million.
That was built out as a fire substation, not a shell, right?
I think I'd have to go back. It might have been.
I think it.
Fitting it up from the shell was not the money. The money is the shell and the plumbing and all that stuff that you gotta put in underneath the slab.
Okay.
And, you know, the mechanical room. I'm not gonna pretend, you know, I'm rooting for a mechanical room and an electrical room.
Well, I will say in the redesign that we did, when the shell was going to be a deductive alternate, we did have the mechanical over there. So it was on top of the detention wing.
So someone's already drawn that? You do, not the mechanical engineer.
Oh, he did too.
Oh,
We took the whole thing through schematic
There you go.
design.
we already paid for it.
You paid for it through schematic.
But that was with the larger sized.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the larger size. That was 3 bays. And a mezzanine for storage.
All right, Rich, what do you think?
I think, as we've all discussed, it comes down to costs. So it's really, but in my head, I have a lower number than the 3 million. And I think that's why we all voted to do the shell. But I think it really comes down to cost. Like whatever the redesign or whatever people want to call it, whatever that costs to put the mechanical room into that main building or the detention center versus not building it. I think that's the question. And it's kind of one of those difficult decisions where you don't have the answer until you do the work. So looking forward, I think it's a good idea to build it, but if not building it is the way that it gets over the finish line, then
It's a valid argument. I mean, that.
But yeah, but on that point, when we come to Elm Street, we have to have a temporary location. So we're gonna pay for it there, or we're gonna pay for it here. So which makes sense. Let's come to Doug.
You hear me?
Yes.
Thanks. I think, actually, I was just going to say, I couldn't agree more with what Rich just said. I was a little surprised by the 3 million number, but my main thinking is that I just really uncomfortable when we're building something so important, using like absolute minimums as a standard. If we get there, same as I said about parking. I think that building with the added shell space is wise. I think it even fits in the bigger picture of concerns of townspeople that we have something coming down the pike about the fire station. We will need more space for things. Things will need to be relocated. It's a good idea to have this additional storage space or, you know, free space. If I was building a building, I'd build not to the absolute minimum, but to have extra space, because building it in the future is more expensive. So I'm supportive of having the shell space there.
to go off what Doug said, Dan, Paul, or anyone else, let's say we didn't build the shell, then 5 years down the road, we said, hey, we want to build this right now. What would that look like as far as operations of the building that was built? Like how disruptive, like as far as like lay down areas and all that, like would you have to close down part of the building?
I mean, obviously it's not optimum because it's in front of the driveway. All right, so that's problem one. Can it be done? I'm sure it can be done. I'm sure it can be phased. Buildings get built in Boston all the time on a block. It will be more expensive to build it, not at the same time. You're going to be paying general conditions times 2. You're going to be paying general requirements times 2. You know, all the things that we hate to pay for as OPMs. We're going to be doubling up on, and you're probably going to be taking at least a third, if not more, half of the parking in the back for laydown. in my opinion. Without setting up all the little cranes on the drawings and all that stuff, but reality wise, that's probably where you're gonna be.
Dan Duffy?
We have right now two options presented to us. I would like to know what the estimated cost is for both of them. Is it going to be 25 million? 28 million? Where would you come out with an estimated cost for these two options?
Dan, I can't wing a number like that on a drawing with a bunch of squares. I know that it's smaller. Theoretically, it should be less. A year's gone by. Theoretically, it should be more. So it's really difficult to do until we get to a schematic design and we can price it out, quantitatively with the tools that the estimators work with. I'm not trying to dismiss your question, but I think it's obvious it's smaller. And obviously, if you don't do the shell, it's going to be even smaller. It's going to be less construction cost in a baseline if it was bid at the same time as it was bid last time. But I can't predict where the market's going to be or when this is going to get built.
And the reason I ask that, Dan, is I agree with what a lot of people are saying that we should build the shell now and it's going to cost more down the road and everything else. What I worry about is if we go back to town meeting with basically the same cost or the same request for funds that we had before, that we will not be able to get a positive result from that town meeting. And kind of therefore I lean realistically, I think, with reducing as much of a cost as we can here. And I'd sort of rather get a 90% success ratio than going back to town meeting with, in a perfect world, I would like to have everything and getting turned down again. So that's what I'm thinking is if we go to town meeting, we're going to have to show some reduction, I think, in cost, even though we've been pushing it in together, and say, folks, we've done all the work we can. We reduced it $1 million, whatever it might be, and try to win over the people in town to vote for this. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about, where I'm coming from.
Okay, sorry, can I just get Tim first?
Yes.
Tim Collins? Tim, you're on mute. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to bring up, operationally, having, and I've said this from the very beginning, I think operationally, the fire department for a town this size needs to be centrally located and not put into two different corners of Cohasset. We don't have the staff to run the two buildings. Putting 2 bedrooms and 2 bays be a good garage space, but if you're actually thinking about operations and what we're actually doing with the staff that we have and how we have to already cross-man a ladder truck on certain calls, I just think that if this substation's not cut off of this building, I don't think this is going to pass town meeting from anyone I've talked to. Anyone that does talk to the firefighters, we all say the same thing. In a town this size, a centrally located fire department suits this town much better. We can do a lot more with less employees if we're all under the same roof. Now, I also do understand that includes bringing up the subject again of adding a possible 1 to 2 bay garage here on Elm Street, possibly where the police garage is right now. But I just got to be honest with everyone. Operationally, having the second station is not, it's not going to make our job easier. It's going to make our job more difficult. And I don't think you're going to get anything better in a response on the Beechwood area. I mean, we did the times. I think we save going from Elm Street versus King Street. I think we saved maybe 30 seconds. But again, you're talking 30 seconds with 2 less people as well. So that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. Everything else looks great to me, but I think also everyone's losing sight of the main goal here, when the main goal was the police station has a problem. The fire station needs some stuff, but the police station has a lot of problems. And I would love to see this get passed. All of us spend a lot of time doing this, but I also think if people aren't going to listen to the people that are actually doing the job and are boots on the ground operationally, then, when people ask us, that's what we tell them. We tell them Central would be much better, but we understand there's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of, different ideas, but I'm not really for the substation at all. I'd rather see the money invested into this one building and operationally just do it out of one building.
All right, thank you, Kathy.
So, my question is, could we go to the town meeting in the town with the police station, with the substation cut off, right? And could the substation be more like, nothing on the side, just like a garage, so that we can get the ambulance where it needs to be, and that we have some places to put the fire trucks in if we have to redo Elm Street, but have that be sorry, Susan, a capital budget committee project that is bonded by the capital budget committee. So if it's just like a garage, you're probably talking not 3 million, maybe you're talking 1.5 million, which, that's the cost of a fire engine at this point. And then you can go to the town and say, we just need you to fund this bit.
Going off what Kathy said, we basically have to build the foundation for the shell. I know the police station side has to be a level 4 building. Could you make the structure off to the side where the proposed fire station going, could you make that like a heated steel building? Or if it's connected, it has to be all one? Okay.
It's connected at all. The entire building is a risk category 4.
Commander Lennon.
Yeah, I just want to reground us on the fact that the police department is in desperate need of a new police station. And I appreciate everybody's very emotional debate on this topic. I also will comment that we, the police department, is fine with the fire side of the building being removed. We're not, we don't have any feeling on that's necessary at this point. We want to get a police station built, and that's our focus.
Thank you. Anybody, Michael?
I agree that, a lot of the points that are being made about keeping our, not blocking ourselves out for the future, about doing the right thing in terms of planning for the future, but all that conversation feels like the conversation we had months ago, and is going to put us in the same exact position at town meeting that we were in. And because we effectively agreed on that unanimously or almost unanimously here. And I feel like fundamentally, to get this project dollars wise to a place where it's more appetizing, we need to lop off one of these additions, I think, is where we need to go. And I think, we just got to be really tactful and smart about it. I think having a fire addition with day beds and all of that over there, as if we're going to build out a substation that we may likely never build, as you could hear from Mr. Collins, his position. We had multiple fire stations here in this town at one point, and we centralized. So I'm just, instead of just on a whim here being like, hey, let's build this because what if? I think if we keep having that position, I don't think it's going to get built. And I think that we really need to think about a way where we can lop off one of these appendages.
I'd like to hear the chief's opinion on this.
We need 2 more additional bays. to operate. We definitely need a new police station to give us Elm Street so we can operate on Elm Street. Now, we have the 2 bays at Elm Street. It's gonna drive the cost up to Elm Street project because we're gonna get into some soil and water and stuff like that. That's gonna have to be rerouted for us to get the garage.
So what do we need the 2 bays for? I know we need one for the ambulance.
The ambulance and all that, like we have a rigid inflatable boat that sits outside that's no use to us anymore, that we need to bring inside.
So
I have a command vehicle, so it's easy just to build 2 bays. If you build one, the cost to build 2 really isn't gonna drive you to.
Yeah, but again, I would counter that, because I think if we can build the one essential bay for a backup piece of equipment that's not in service every day, and put that up here on on King Street, and not have to build additional bays on Elm Street, then we're gonna save ourselves some real money.
And if we're the requirement in Elm Street is not 1 bay, it's 2.
It's 2, because the other thing too is we also need a bay to work on equipment. So 2 bays gives us what we need to operate our equipment now that we're all inside, heated, conditioned space.
Just 1 second.
It's
One
done.
second. And the other thing too is that way back many meetings ago, it appeared to me there was a collective bargaining issue because we don't have a command vehicle available to the shift commanders. Now, once that thing turns up, it has to be put inside also. So to me, you gotta have a bay for that. You gotta have a bay to work. You gotta have a bay for a boat, and you gotta have a bay for the ambulance. I'm not saying we need 4, but we certainly need 1.
So if we need a bay for, if we need a bay for a shift commander, that's a regular sized vehicle, right? That can go in the
With the
police
boat,
bay.
probably with the boat, yeah.
And the boat, which I don't understand why we need a fire boat if we have a police boat and a harbor master. I don't, we're not,
Because
I understand we're on the water, but this is ridiculous.
I'll tell you why.
I mean, but let's go look at the boat that we have. And this is why it gets out of hand. This is why, because we're saying we need one thing, but then there's 3, 4, 5, and 6 that come with it. We need to focus on what we need. And I think if we're gonna build 2 more bays over there and can't reuse and repurpose the existing police bays, then we've got a bigger problem.
The existing police
These
bays
bays have been used for other parts of the program, which
they're
you've seen.
not big enough. We need to raise.
They're not big enough for the inflatable boat? The
No, you gotta
13-foot
put- you gotta-
inflatable boat?
You're gonna put an ambulance in there, right? The ambulance won't fit. The shift commander vehicle won't fit. They're not building vehicles smaller, they're building them bigger.
So,
Right.
you know,
It's the exact same
we
thing.
can argue forever and a day
We're not
on
gonna do
semantics. The real issue here isn't any of this. The real issue is, do you want to defer the cost of the next project? That's all, that's what we're talking about. If you take the shell down, all right, and you focus on the police station, you're deferring the cost to a later date of something.
Dan, why do you keep saying it? Dan, I don't understand. Why do you keep saying that? Like I'm getting confused on what your job is here. You keep, it's like anytime we make some kind of progress, it just takes 2 steps back. You start reminding people about, transports are going to Beechwood. Like, I'm confused on what your position is here, because we're trying to collectively as Cohasset employees and citizens figure this out. And you keep on bringing up deferred. Nothing's going to be deferred if nothing ever gets voted on. The people aren't going to vote. I'm telling you right now, Dan, I don't know where you're living now, what you're doing, but I'm telling you right now, these people of Cohasset are not going to fund any of this nonsense until we, first of all, figured out what is our program. What does Cohasset want for EMS, fire, and police? Okay, that we can't even, for the past year and a half, we can't even get that figured out. No one knows what the hell's going on. Everyone has their own opinions on what things should be going on. But at the end of the day, the police need a police station. The fire department would like to have another bay or 2, but otherwise we're fine. But I'm struggling right now, being calm, worrying about my coworkers that are police officers getting dragged down into, everyone has their opinion, which is great. That's great, grassroots government. But obviously nothing is getting done, and nothing will get done until we start lopping pieces of this building off. People do not want the higher taxes. People know that schools are coming down the road, Dan. So, I think sometimes everyone needs to stay in their lane a little bit. If you're not gonna listen to the people that serve you guys every single day on what our needs are, and you're just gonna keep having these roundtable discussions where nothing gets done, then just keep on going. I'll go to all these meetings. But it's starting to get comical now. And I think Mark Cameron's starting to see that too, where, we're trying to get to an end point here. We're not worried about 20 years from now. We're worried about right now. Right now, we need a police station. I'm sorry for my little outburst here, but this is
Okay,
getting
Fine, hey, I'm okay with it.
Then we got, we're actually all.
Go ahead and mute myself, but this is getting,
we're on the same page, trust us.
What I asked for was 3 votes.
Okay.
Well, parking and reduction in building design.
Okay. So. Reduction, building design, what does people think about the building design? Can you put those slides back up?
Commander Lennon raised his hand as well.
Okay, the building designs, there's 2 of them. Which one?
You want to go into
Commander
one or the
Lennon,
other,
Yeah,
or
we want one of the other.
Commander Lennon raised his hand.
I see that.
Looking for you to pick one or the other. What I'm looking for is, was the reduction that we did enough for your, your constituents?
Okay, so that's the answer to the question.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So Commander Lennon.
I know the meeting's almost over. I just want to say, like, from my observation of observing this meeting for the past hour and a half, that this committee, this project, and this process would desperately benefit from this committee hiring a professional, unbiased facilitator to run these meetings. I think the process is very impassioned, and I think that's great. But I think an unbiased person in the room, directing the meeting and coordinating the votes and so forth would make this one run much smoother than it has been. So that's my suggestion as an outsider, not a member of this committee, but I would strongly recommend that going forward, because otherwise this is going to continue to go in circles as it has tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Right.
Okay, so let's go to the 2 floor plans. Which one is this, 1 or 2 option? This is option 1, right? Okay.
Can we ask Paula, are they
Yeah,
the same
right.
square footage though? They're in the same footprint?
Pretty much, it's just the organization of those areas in the center of the plan. But
So in a way, I kind of feel like we
Footprint
should
is
leave
the
this up to the police to decide, you know what I mean? Like,
I think the only difference, correct me if I'm wrong, that is the size of the Sallyport bays, right?
Yeah, that you were only really cutting off this white portion, right? Like the white pieces in the middle, like if you're building the structure, that space has to be filled. So we're really cutting off.
Yeah, but between, not between the previous option, between the 2 options here on the table, on the screen, not on the table. Is the Sallyport the same size?
no, so you've got.
There's one that's smaller.
Option 1 has 2 full bays. Option 2 has 1 and a half, which means really it's a Sallyport bay and then a storage area for.
Is the
ATVs and bikes.
footprint of the building the same?
No.
No, it's less. It's the dotted was the previous,
No, but between the 2 options,
No.
so the one Sallyport, so if I look, this is 1,200 square feet, and then this one's 1,000. Okay, so it's slightly smaller on this version.
And that's the only part that varies for the footprint is the Sallyport.
Truthfully, I think we need to have a third option without one of these appendages.
Right. Well,
I mean, we can sit here and figure out which one it is, but.
Well,
You mean which
you wouldn't
appendage?
have a Sallyport because the Sallyport can't fit inside the existing building. with the floor clearances that we've got. You can't put a garage inside the existing.
And, okay, so then if we don't build the fire side then, and we put everything on the right, and then we don't block ourselves out, we deal with doing the minimum on the retaining wall, and we get as far as we can, and then if situations in 5-10 years from now change and there's a fire station that's needed there, or it needs to facilitate the street, then we look at that. At least we're not blocking ourselves out.
You're saying move the addition, the police addition to that side?
No, leave the police addition on the right
And
and leave the space on the left vacant. So that if we need to build that, we can build that. I thought we could make the addition on the right taller and put the Sally ports, drive up through the parking lot in the back and put the Sally ports in from the back on the back side of the fire. The expensive parts of this construction get to be in the groundwork, the foundations, and the connections to the existing structure. If we can eliminate one of those and consolidate it, then I think we're gonna see see the needle move a little bit more here.
So
I think the options that we have on the table, while they're going in the right direction, I just don't feel that they're as meaningfully impactful from this. And I feel that we're gonna end up in the same position we were in.
Eliminating the fire side, you don't think so now?
No, I think there's multiple ways to.
I think there's a confusion here. You asked for a vote for police program and the fire station separately, right?
I asked a program on the shell in and out,
Yeah.
right? I asked for a vote on parking in the rear.
So
And I
without
asked
the
for a
shell-
vote on the reduction. Did we do enough reduction?
And I was
Because
going right to
beyond
spring,
the reduction-
and I don't think we did enough reduction.
But
I
if you
think
don't put the shell on, the other side's gonna have to be bigger somehow, right? Because you gotta move mechanical and stuff. But
that's fine. You're absolutely right. And I think that would be
it's not
still
full.
cheaper than 2 additions. Right? If you put 1 addition on your house, it's going to be cheap. That's gonna be cheaper than 2 small additions on each side.
So,
Go back to the floor plan speak.
but I just said one thing. So if we're talking about the garage, right? The existing building is here. If we don't do the garage side and we don't put parking there, we leave it kind of how it is now. How much excavation or foundation work do we still need to do to keep the parking in the back?
You still have to put a retaining wall on 2 sides.
And that was, I think, what we did in the redesign. So if you go back and have a look at that, one of the option with the deductive alternate of removing that shell, we basically kept the building design with the parking at the back. So you can see what that looks like in those drawings.
So I think to move the conversation along, what I hear from the group is we need an option presented to us without the garage and the fire side. Because then again, for me, it's only between these 2 designs, it's really only the footprint of the building is 200 square feet difference, which I don't know how much that'll cost, but then if we go with the larger one, it's 200 square feet more, but then the police union says they don't want the unisex locker room. So I guess the question that we need to answer for Paula and Dan is, I guess, if we want a third option without the garage, what other information do you need from us to get that done?
Do we need to do another meeting to do another option, or can we just say the police program's good, get rid of the fire wing?
I guess there's 2.
That's entirely up to you.
Yeah.
I mean, what I struggle to we have the police programming,
Yeah.
but we see these little gaps here.
Well,
I
they'll
think,
fill in, I think.
I mean, they'll fill in, but I mean, the police have to answer that question or have input, in my opinion. But when you build the structure, I mean, but then again, I guess the program does.
So one of the things that when we did the reduction in the program, okay, we did go to the absolute minimum. To reduce it more, you are affecting the police operations at that point in time. So I don't know how much more you can take off the.
Well, no, I'm not a fan of reducing any of that. I'm not a fan of reducing any of that.
I guess
To be clear, what I'm saying is, I think in order to reduce to the level that we need to, it is one of these additions structurally. Whatever doesn't fit in, right? Because I'm not saying the program, obviously we need the electrical rooms, we need the mechanical room. Right? Those need to get relocated into somewhere else. So if this addition needs to get slightly bigger to facilitate deleting this addition, I'm fine with that, right? If we delete this addition and somehow are able to make this 2 stories, front and rear, where the police access it from the high side and sally ports, then we could eliminate this and still have the bays down below.
That is tricky also because that addition to the north is housing the whole detention wing, which also, if you go back to those floor plans, the interior of the existing shell is kind of taken up with all of the police programmatic areas without the detention wing. There's really no way to pull that detention wing in, and depending on where the sally port goes, if it were to go on top of the fire wing at the south, that means that whole upper floor, because the booking area, the detention cells, all that stuff needs to be adjacent to the sally port. So then that would take up everything on the upper floor there to the left side. So then all of those spaces, the locker room, all of that would have to go somewhere. And there's really not a lot of space on the second floor if we.
Could
if the
you,
police
is
are coming
it,
in that way.
is it likely that if we didn't do the shell, that the police side would go back to almost the original footprint it was because we have the boom mechanical over there?
It's
Not-
800 square feet. You
not
can put it where the roof deck is.
Yeah, could you lift this roof up or put it on the back roof area?
We could figure out a way to make it, because we did that in the redesign, and if everything shrinks a little bit, then the mechanical rooms just.
We're trying to make the building look smaller too, even though.
It does with the,
But,
yeah.
but this one has what, 3 bays here?
Yes.
So if you keep the 3 bays there and take 3 bays off of there, it's gonna look smaller.
It's gonna look a lot smaller.
Correct.
That's the reason why it's on the vote.
But it's
Is
not an
that
option.
enough? Is that, it's not an option on the plan. But it was the first thing I said when I got
Okay.
here, was that we needed 3 votes. Because
I think we,
contrary to what you believe, we do listen. Okay, and Will will tell you, I have talked to Will. I'm trying to understand where Will's coming from. I've talked to Glenn.
Was that hard to understand me?
No, not at all. You were
and
concise and
the
clear.
option that Mark just said, though, that was one of the proposed options before town meeting, right?
Yeah.
The
It was.
no fireside in that. So we have that. I guess the question is, do we think that's enough? Like, if we want to make it,
Well, I think you're gonna
Yeah.
get diverging views on that too.
I would be more in favor of not blocking ourselves out to for the inevitable of what could happen maybe someday when. And if we need a fire substation here, I'd rather not, because you can never put a fire substation on this side of the building. We all agree on that. right?
Agreed.
correct.
So I'd rather see if we're gonna build one addition and if we have, and it has to be on this level and we can't do the stacked thing. Then this side to me makes sense for the police. We have this design. We just cut that off and we do our retaining walls as we need to. And we just take our medicine and we just walk away.
I guess to Mark's question too, we already have the design for no shell, and then we have this new design here. What is the question that's always hard to answer is like, what is the cost difference with redesign to make the detention area this much smaller?
You can't give a quantitative number.
But like
You know it's smaller.
But what you're saying is that's the only thing that needs to be redesigned at this point, because we have the old design where we lopped the building off. The only difference now is.
cost wise, is it worth, like, if we already have those plans with the fireside off, the shell off, but is it worth redesigning or whatever we need to do to make it smaller, like what is that cost delta, which as Dan said, is very hard to estimate. Like, I think, like, I'm sure you have a gut feeling that you don't want to say in public, but
Well, I just don't like throwing numbers
Yeah,
around
exactly.
because it's not fair to everybody sitting here because they're not accurate. I can say this, we did look at that option through schematic design, period. That's not fully designed. We fully designed the building that got voted down. And DD's on that option fully bid the option that didn't never made it to a vote in November.
Correct.
I mean, full set of everything. So we're going back to something at some point in time.
You know, the redesign, we didn't take it to DD, it only went as far as SC.
Right.
So in considering what we saved by not putting that on, do we give any thought to this being an option for temporary location of the Elm Street fire operation or some of it when we have to do that building? Or do we just say that price is going to have to be added into that price and that's it?
That
It's
was what
not
I was
even-
trying to say when I said you're deferring. That was all I was trying to say.
But like Tim said, they don't want to separate anyway, and there's 5 other vehicles that they have that need a temporary home regardless. So putting 2 here.
No, I'm just talking about during the construction of Elm Street. We're going to
Yeah,
have
that's what I'm talking about
We're
too.
going to have to hire some temporary space during.
No matter what.
Right, so
Yeah.
do we put any value in this building be available for that?
I don't think they want to operate that way.
Well, I don't know, I don't know.
I would say,
We're
I
not gonna be
think-
able to fit all of our equipment.
So you don't, doesn't gonna matter to you, you're not
Doesn't
gonna,
matter, we're not gonna be able to fit everything in here, and so it's not.
you don't need it. Okay, so that's the answer for that. then. Okay. What do you
So
think?
you want to take the 3 votes?
Hold on, Rich.
no, I think we covered it.
Okay.
We'll beat it to death.
Okay, so there's 3 things that we want to send everybody away with. Let's take a vote on what the committee thinks about the parking will stay in the back because it makes police operations work and it gives us 47 and possibly a few more spaces now if we don't put the other wing on. So all those who.
You have to do a roll.
And it costs $2.5 million, just FYI.
What's that?
So
And it costs $2.5 million. Maybe just add that in. So that.
Roll
Yeah.
call vote.
okay, so everyone who wants to keep the parking in the back, this is a big roll call.
Melissa Brown, yes.
Nate Spitty, yes.
Rich Fitzpatrick, yes.
Rich Kincher, yes.
Doug? You're on mute. Doug,
Still-
we can't hear you.
Doug McGregor, yes.
Dan Duffy,
Yes.
Glenn Pratt, yes. Okay, so it's unanimous, the committee to keep the parking in the back.
Swallow voter.
No.
Who's on?
No.
No. Okay, number 2 is do we eliminate the, let's call it by directions, a north or south wing, what is that called?
South.
Do we
Call it
eliminate,
the shell.
do we eliminate the south wing so-called shell from the plan altogether?
Glenn, I don't think we
Yeah.
personally, I'd like to see what those, like, I mean, are we gonna, what's the,
We're gonna
because
have,
if we eliminate it, what are we going with?
well, that's, we're gonna ask them to come back with that. We'll eliminate that and come back with what the option would be for everything else. Is that what you want to hear?
Well, we need direction.
Okay,
And, you know, I do give credence to what Mark and Will are trying to say, which is the plan has to be different for it to pass. Is that enough?
so I think what we want to try to say is the direction we want to give you, and we'll get a vote, is eliminate the south addition, come back with a plan for
We'll come out with some
how-
options
how
on that
How that
area.
looks like, what it looks like to everything else. Okay, so a roll call again by the committee who are in favor of giving them that instruction.
Melissa Brown, yes.
This is voting on just coming back with a plan.
Without
Blocking it
showing,
off to
Not
begin with.
without showing that, right?
Nate Spitty, yes.
Well, hold on a
I
second.
don't understand.
Oh, yeah.
Coming back,
I think I,
We need direction.
you're coming back with a plan without that.
Glenn, so we have,
We're eliminating the shell in the next round.
Right.
Glenn, we have a plan with the shell already.
Then that's
But
what they'll-
so is the direction to Dan and Amy to make a new drawing without the shell, sorry, Paula, is the direction for them to take the smaller Sallyport detention area without the shell? Because we already have the full detention area. Is that what you're looking for? You're just looking for another smaller
To
option
me,
without the
what we
shell?
want to say to them is, show us the option and options without building the south shell. So that's what you need to hear, right?
3 votes. One is the reduction in design. One we just took on parking, and the third one is eliminating the shell. What goes where the shell is, will come back.
And what does the rest of the building look like without it there?
Right.
Okay, so, but that doesn't
So
mean
this is a vote to eliminate the shell.
that there's a vote to limit the shell on the design you're bringing in next for us to consider.
Correct.
Yeah. We may not,
Always add,
we may not go with it when they bring it in.
but.
Is that your, what
So we're
you,
still voting on the design. We're not voting definitively to eliminate the shell, because I still think space is at a premium. Tim Collins makes a very compelling argument for not doing that for future fire, but I still think that is space that's gonna go to use. And if we lop it off, if that gets it over the finish line, that's no question about it. That is the most important thing here. But none of us have a crystal ball and determine whether that's gonna get it across the finish line or not, right? So I just still think it's potentially useful space that could be used by the police with a future use. So I don't,
so the,
we're voting on the plan because that's
The
what we
plan,
want to
the plan.
see. And then we want to talk about where the mechanical and all those necessities are gonna go, then I vote yes to that.
that's what we're telling you, Dan, is that, you know, how you hear us? We want to see what happens if you don't build, we want to see what happens if you don't build that.
The vote is for us to eliminate the shell. That's the vote. All right, we're gonna come back,
With the,
huh?
They don't need to worry about what's gonna get designed, just you want the shell or not the shell, then we'll
That's it.
the
And
design.
then we'll work on the design. And. I mean, it,
How about a design to eliminate the shell? I think people are getting hung up on, if we vote, take the shell off, that's 100% it. I know Dan's not gonna like that train of thought, but as I said before, we have a design without the shell in the old building. Do we want to take one of these footprints without the shell and have it designed? Is that what you're looking for?
Not yet.
not yet.
This is just, do you want the shell or not the shell?
but why,
I think what
Can
needs,
I just, hold on a second. If they were to say no shell,
Yes,
we're seeing 2 versions here today.
yes.
What would you be planning to bring back next time? Would you be planning to bring back 2 or 3 versions that don't show the South
Option 3
Edition?
and option 4.
Yeah,
I would
Yeah.
bring back options showing mechanical areas accommodated elsewhere if the
Okay.
shell does not exist.
and
Elevations without it.
and just high level here. Would it be 3 bays, 2 bays, 1 bay?
we already have 3 bits
That's the
done
next
out there.
Okay.
That's the next question.
Okay,
Number 3.
all right.
Question 3.
Okay. So let's just do it one at a time.
That's what I was trying to
Okay.
do. I was trying hard.
say the.
So this is just to say, if you want to see options, just leave it at that, options without the South Edition.
That's what we're talking.
That's it.
Yes.
So if you want to see that, then say yes.
That's what we're talking.
If you don't, and you want to stick with what we've got on the screen, then say no.
Right, so,
Right,
so,
perfect.
I think that.
You're a moderator.
It had to happen, to clear up.
Okay, so what- so what-
So Nate's bid, yes.
okay,
You voting again?
Rich Kinship, yes.
we stayed, okay, good, Rich,
Melissa Brown, yes.
yes, Rich Kinship,
Yes.
Rich Fitzpatrick, yes.
Doug,
Doug McGregor, yes.
what else is it, was someone else there, Dan Duffy?
I think he dropped.
Okay, Glenn Pratt, yes. Okay, next question.
The reduction in design.
Okay.
Now, obviously, the design's gonna change. The question is, did we reduce the design enough? To go beyond that, we are going into police operations, right?
I would like to be absolutely certain those yes votes were to eliminate the shell.
To shell without no shell, all right?
The new options you'll be bringing us will not have.
I'm sure.
Now, the question is there been enough programming reduction on the police side, or should there be more?
Can we,
I think it's great.
I think that's with the exception of the addition.
Well, of course,
Right,
of course, of
right.
course, of course.
You're talking about the meat and potatoes inside.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So, is that what you want to know? Kathy?
Could we just clarify, are we talking about police operations, or are we talking about police operations and EOC?
At this point, police operation.
Because there's EOC programming in here, no?
No, there is not.
There's no EOC in
You
here.
know,
Okay.
EOC was taken out.
What's
That was
that?
one of the reductions.
What's that community room? Training community.
Yeah, it can be used for community events.
It's not laid out.
Yeah.
When you add the two together, that's what it is. When it's laid out, well, there'll be two rooms.
It's not an EOC though, or it can be an
It
EOC.
can.
It can be, it's just a block for now.
Okay.
It's a block of space.
Right.
Whether you multi-use it, I think is something we can talk about.
Okay, so it's plan option,
Option one.
One.
Option two. And
Okay.
the main, now that we've eliminated the south shell, the main direction I need to design it is 2 bays or 1.5 bays. Or 3 bays, but
For the-
reduction of the footprint.
We already have.
Well, we already have a 3-bay, right?
yeah.
So
So of option 1 and 2.
before you vote, I would just say we just deleted a whole bunch of space over here.
Yeah.
So I would think that,
Stay with the original.
right, I mean, just in context, that would,
I think we should have an option to.
but that's what it would mean. I mean, just-
Well, so we already have the original without the shell. So we still have that.
With 3 bays.
If you move walls around and everything inside, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But so now I guess Paula is asking, do we want the 1 bay or do we want 2? But then it comes back to, is the 1 bay versus the 2, are there any like non-starters? Like for example, the police union said they don't want a unisex locker room. Does that have any relation to 1 or 2 bays?
No.
Okay.
When we had 3, there was always a question on the need for the 3rd bay.
The answer is,
You're not saving any money by going. for
you're not
3.
saving any money and you need it,
Same
you need
walls,
it,
just-
you need it for operations.
Can I ask-
You cannot, everybody can say, just 1 second, everyone can say, I've looked at the police 3 bays they have now and it's full of crap. We gotta change the way they work and we gotta tell them not to put all that crap there. You're not gonna change people's, the way they work. You're not gonna change people's habits. So we have to be realistic and say, we can't build something that just does not have enough space for the comings and goings of any operation, whether it be police, fire, or DPW. So, I think saying 3 is too much, 2 is better, it's really outside the scope of this committee because we don't run those departments. We don't see the day-to-day situations that come up. We don't see how it is that all those things belong to the department and have to be kept inside. And, so I think that
But it's
3, which we
specifically-
came with the first idea, was probably arrived at for a bunch of reasons and we got
It is specifically in the scope of this committee though, to reduce the size.
and it's specifically in the scope of this committee to build a building to support the departments. So if we need to understand how they do their arithmetic, that is in our purview.
That's what it's
Right, we
perfect.
can't just say, oh, we can't pay attention to what they're doing.
The charge from the Board of Selectmen is to look at reductions,
Yeah, we did.
all right?
And also the chief sat down with Paula and did programming and came up with a 2 bay and a 1.5 bay option. So.
And we already have a
Should
3
be-
drawn.
I think the program had 2 bays.
I mean,
Good to know.
my personal opinion is I think 2, if the police already have 2, I know these will be taller. I think reducing it to 1 larger one, I think having 2 garage doors, you can always put a partition down the middle, separate it. I think it's,
Well, the number of doors is not.
Between the 2 doors, there is a wire partition, so Sally Port Bay
We're-
is separated from.
We are kind of getting away from the question at hand. And the question at hand was, we showed you a reduction plan. All right, whether it's 1 bay, 1.5 bays, 2 bays, it really doesn't matter. We can do options and show 2 bays, 1.5 bays. It's the reduction from what the original plan had to the reduction that Chief Quigley had said, I can't go 1 square foot lower than this. And that's where we are.
And that's what Will.
That was
you did a great
before,
job.
but that was,
that's what Will said you guys.
Yeah, you said
no, but that was when he.
I didn't hear that.
You said you wanted to record that.
Oh, listen, that was before, that was when he thought we were building the south wing. So he could put stuff over there. Now that's not available to him. So he has the benefit of hearing that.
But you can,
So,
He didn't have that in his program that he worked out with Paul, right? You didn't account that fire bay as program for the police, correct?
No, but in the back of his mindset,
Of course.
two bays, if we could put some of the APs or something.
we have to, we have to be responsible to the taxpayers and money and all that. I get it. But we also have to be responsible to what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build an operational building that's got to go beyond next weekend. Okay. And the things people say, oh, it's mission creep, this and that. Why do they have a boat? Why do they have a this? Why do that? Because when you need it, you need it. You know, it's like
That's
it's like
the
it's like
answer
the
people
discussion.
don't accept.
Oh, I know, but it's the real world, and we have to convince people. It's like a couple of town meetings ago. The chief was trying to get new rifles or new something, and people on town meeting get up and said, "Why do we need those?" That's it is what we have, so we can't skimp on space that we know actually has to be used.
How about this?
That's not.
How about if I
We focus
rephrase?
on what he needs for a vote.
How about if I rephrase this? Okay, we'll come back with the design as reduced by Chief Quigley with an option for 1 bay, 2 bay, and 3 bay. And then you guys can have the debate on where you want to go. Is that fair?
and no unisex bathrooms.
Yeah, no, obviously we had
So which option are we looking at?
not unisex bathrooms, unisex.
The options check.
They're gonna give us new ones. They're gonna give us new ones.
So we're not going to have. Well, how can you want reduction design? You want us to listen to that?
Well,
Because this is a reduction in design, what she's showing.
Because basically again, I've said it a million times, the only real difference between the two, building footprint wise, is the Sally port, correct?
so that is basically what I need direction on.
Okay.
1.5 bay, 2 bay, because the rest of it, I can move the rooms around. We have a layout already that meets the operational needs of the police department. That the tension wing and the addition is the part that needs to be squeezed down.
Okay, so why don't you?
Ask a question for my spatial relations in the Sally Port. Like if a car was to drive into the Sally Port, how big is a car on this? You know what I mean? Like,
These are the garage doors, right?
no, go back to the layout. Like how much space does a car take in that Sally Port?
Go to the very last page, Rich. So would probably, that's a fire truck, that's an ambulance.
Yes.
So a car would probably take up about that much.
Okay, but if you parked it right, if you just drove right in and just parked it with a garage door right behind it.
This door is 10 feet wide.
Yeah,
So it would pretty much be, that's kind of generous, but
Okay.
it would be kind of taking.
but there
up
is
space.
storage space in the Sally Port.
No, that is completely
No.
secure. You can't store anything else.
You could make it a smaller Sally Port.
Not much, because you have to be able to pull an ambulance into that in case a detainee is brought in an ambulance. And also with the vehicle in there, you have to be able to open the doors, transport the prisoner and all of that. So it needs to be wider.
So to answer the question, I think if we're going to have it redesigned, I think 2 bays, I think the one is like we're saving 200 square feet and it's just one door where like if the Sally port, from what I've heard, is supposed to be secure, if you have like a double wide door or 1.5 door, you put it up. That area.
You're not even asking about the bays, right? You're asking about the police program. That's
I'm asking about the police
Yeah,
program.
okay.
I know Sally wants, Sally. Paula wants to get on the Sally board. Paula wants to get the Sally
Okay,
board,
so-
but I really could, like, look, we reduced the actual program, you guys.
Yeah.
All right, so
So Dan, you phrase the question, we'll go on what you phrase it. Then we'll know.
I think we could come back with a plan with 1 bay or 2 bays. All right?
Yes.
1.5 and 2 bays with the reduced plan. Is that acceptable? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
For the police, it's acceptable.
Valley Port, right?
So,
The one bay that is the Sally Port.
no, the Sally Port would be secured. There'd probably be a fence down the line for storage on the right side or something.
Correct,
like
but if
that.
you go back to one of the
Elevations,
yeah,
go ahead.
the one on the bottom, next one down.
Yeah.
That's the Sally Port, because the ambulance is, the one on the top,
Right.
Yeah,
that's the Sally Port. The ambulance is pulling in there. There is not a vehicle or evidence bay. There's maybe an alcove,
Isn't it?
but it's not a bay. It's
Yeah,
now
that's why we-
consumed by,
Exactly. That's why we said it's 1.5. We never said it was 1. It's 1.5 because they do need some storage,
yes.
right?
okay.
So it's 1.5 or 2.
What does Commander Lennon have?
Do-
Yeah, yes, two bays is fine for us. That we can work with that. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Yes.
Can we get a vote on that?
Say it, what you want to vote on. Say
The
it.
reduction in the design program with the designer to come back with an option for a strong 1.5 or 2 bays.
Why do you need to vote on that? Why don't you just give
We
a
voted
sense?
on
that's what
everything
we want
else.
to do?
All right, fine. I'll get a sense. Sense received.
Okay. So I think you have enough to work on, Gola.
I want to go back to one more thing.
Okay,
We talked about, as we made progress with the design, going back consistently to the Board of Selectmen to give updates to the Board of Selectmen. Do you want to wait until after the next meeting and we show you the design without the bay, without the shell? Or do you want us to go to the selectmen in between?
how long will that take, do you think?
15 minutes?
No, to come back, no, I'm not gonna say.
2 weeks, we'll be back in
15 minutes, I
Should I have it
close.
done?
Okay,
2 weeks.
I
I think
you guys meet every week, every other week?
We had 2 weeks this time. So it's
It-
not next week, but the week after.
25th.
So then to get to the next one, you'd be out to the.
Oh, the one after that is 2 weeks after that, right?
I mean, I think like seeing what we talked about today, I think if you presented to the select board, it would just be like, this is what we talked about and we're waiting. So it's either discuss what we just discussed today or come with more options.
The goal is to go to the selectmen with decisions, not to go with options, so that the selectmen have to debate options.
So, okay,
But we haven't.
They asked us to do this. So we should go back and report to them as we're making progress. That's the decision you all wanted when we started down the path. It's okay if we miss one and we get the design a little further along and go in 3 weeks.
I think it'd be better to bring it with what you voted on today.
come back on 25th.
If you can get it by the 25th.
Oh, we won't,
great,
oh.
yeah.
No,
Well,
you
you
want to
okay,
see,
of the
you want to see the design.
Yeah, the
Just go
updates.
about.
Yeah.
Okay. So we won't meet with the selectmen in between.
Well, let's see what Alan said. Yeah, Alan
What
did.
did you say?
There's a selectman.
There's two of them.
There's two of them.
Got a quorum.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I would come back to the select board with what you think is gonna pass a town meeting,
Yeah.
okay? Because to go through all of this with the 5 of us, okay?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Going with the decision is better than trying to explain what we went over tonight.
What do you guys think?
Has to pass. And I think that we all know, like, I'm an advocate for the shell, okay? But if that visual, because a lot of it is visual for people, is gonna get people to not vote for the police needs, then we're gonna take it off and we're gonna have to deal with it and fire goes from being a $5 million project to a $12 million project to add on the bays, and that's what you get, Cohasset, okay? That's what you get. And so I would say you come with a strong, united perspective of what you think is gonna pass at town
You
meeting.
think we can be ready then for the 15th of September?
Yes,
Well, we'll have to.
for a baseline plan. No, obviously not details, and obviously not costs. But with a baseline plan that everyone agrees is the reduction that the selectmen asked us to do.
I think it's the 8th.
8th.
Yeah.
All right.
September 8th, yeah.
Oh, it's the 8th, okay.
All right,
Can you be ready the 8th?
Paula, you can,
Wait, what are
you're
we?
working on Labor Day, right?
Committee, do we wanna,
25th and the 8th, what are we?
We're not doing anything on the 25th. We're meeting in 2 weeks, which is
27th.
27th. And then we would, provided that everyone is thrilled with what we came up with,
We'll go to the
we will
select
meet
meeting.
with the selectmen on the 8th,
Okay.
all right?
Does everybody think that works? You can be ready. Okay. Anybody online for a question?
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so I think that probably is it for tonight.
Nope.
More.
So this project also needs to be voted on by the Capital Budget Committee as well as the Advisory Committee.
Yes.
And nobody's talked to either of them recently.
Yep.
I have been encouraging the Capital Budget Committee to watch the selectmen's meeting, the last one where you guys presented on Elm Street. But they haven't really had any updates. And I also think the Capital Budget Committee would like to see the benchmarking studies and have the opportunity to ask some questions. And we definitely have new members on the Capital Budget Committee who would probably be good for them to take a tour of the current police station and maybe take a tour of another police station.
Okay.
So I think we need to think about how we address.
Do you have some regular set meetings yet? Do you have?
We do. Yeah.
Do you have some dates off the top of your head you can look
Well, we
at?
have the upcoming one set, which
Yeah.
is the 17th, and then
Yeah.
at that meeting, we're setting our schedule.
Yeah.
So would it be fair to say that if we met with you towards the end of September, that would be okay?
Yes.
All right, so we'll work on that and
Yeah.
we'll work on Mark to see if we
Yeah.
can miss something.
But if you get us the names of new people, we might be able to get the tools set up ahead of
Yeah.
that.
And are there any new Advisory Committee people that you?
too. Yeah.
So can we get those names? Can you get me those names and
Yeah.
contacts? We'll try to set up
Yeah.
the tours for them.
Yeah.
And this is again, not going for special town meeting. This is going for a special, right?
right,
When is that?
Yes.
That's
But
what.
not the special in the fall.
the smart
Super
stuff.
We're not,
Not the regular special.
The super
Glenn, can I
special.
share the benchmarking studies with the Capital Budget Committee?
Yeah, did you get them from
I
anybody?
did, and my plan was just to send them to them and say,
There's two.
read through of them and write your questions and so not do it at the meeting, but say, what are your questions? We'll transmit them.
These are two
to the
regionals,
chief.
one from Chief Dockery and one from, just recently,
Yes.
I sent you those.
Yeah.
Someone sent you, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
I think when you come to advisory,
yes.
I think when you come to advisory, it'd be good to be able to explain the timeline for the design for Elm Street as well, because that was always a big part of the equation. And having the clarity there. So I know we can't spend money until we get to special town meeting. Assuming that we get approved to
to
spend money.
transfer the fund money that was appropriated.
Correct.
Right.
So that's understanding why design is not.
They already, capital budget already did that.
Yeah.
It's already done.
Meeting. It makes the funds available.
Yeah.
So that $150,000 is available.
Okay. I thought that it was the understanding that you wanted to go back to town meeting because the town meeting voters thought it was contingent, even though it was a vote of the capital, but the town meeting vote was contingent on the yes vote. If I'm mistaken and the money's fully available, we'll have a chat about that.
Michelle, and she spoke, to.
She told me, but
We don't need to rehash this here.
Capital Budget Committee is comfortable with
Mhm.
making that decision.
So if you can just explain the timeline for
Will
Elm
do.
Street.
Yep.
When do you meet? You got, meet.
We're meeting next week. And then we meet every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Is our current schedule, what we can add one in the middle. We meet on Wednesday nights. 7:00. But
Okay.
I don't think, based on the load, I think the
Not
next
yet.
town meeting, I think we're gonna go every other week.
Yeah, okay.
They were.
No.
Okay, anything else that anybody has? So you're gonna get names of your new members, so we try to get them set up. Just, and when you send me that, can you just like remind me of what your meeting schedules are, so we have that? Okay, Dan, do you have anything else?
Nope, good.
Anybody else have anything we wanna bring up? We're gonna skip the approval of minutes for tonight, if nobody minds. I can have a motion to adjourn,
No move.
second,
Second.
All in favor, roll call?
Melissa Brown, yes.
Thanks.
Rick Kinship, yes.
Rich Fitzpatrick, yes.
Glenn Pratt, yes. Doug McGregor?
Doug McGregor, yes.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.